Alright, today we are going to create some Banksy-inspired art, some legal graffiti in class, and so this is going to be your class practice, and then I'll explain a little bit more about what your assignment is at the end of this video. So the two things that you should have open are this blank brick wall background that I have posted out in Classroom, and then you should also have this portrait that you had already cut out from the movie poster project that we did earlier this semester. If you don't have that image, then you will need to go take a picture of yourself and cut it out and remove the background so that we can easily use it for this project. Okay? So to start, all you're going to do is take this image of you and drag it into the background. You will have to transform it a little bit because it won't exactly fit. I bring it down. Might play with it a little bit, maybe not get my feet in it this time. Rotate it and put it in there. Okay? We will only be messing with the top layer, the U layer, and as always, you should go rename your layer. I'm just going to put U because that's what I'll be referring to it as. You may put me or something along those lines, okay? So drag yourself in there, transform to fit. We're going to Control-Shift-U, and if you remember, that makes it black and white or desaturates the object. We're also going to bring up our Levels dialog box by hitting Control-L. And I'm really going to focus on darkening it a little bit. I don't want to lighten it too much, and we'll see why in a minute. But I just have pretty pale skin, so I want to darken my image a little bit to give me some more contrast or a little bit darker skin tone as far as for this image and when we go to mess with some of the blending modes and that sort of thing. So I'm going to say OK on that. Then I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Posterize. Okay, and so what this is doing is we have a grayscaled image, and if you remember, there are 256 shades of the grayscale or the black and white, the desaturated image. And what the levels is doing is it's telling us, okay, that's how many levels or the shades of gray in this case we are going to allow. So if something is only 2 levels, it's either going to be black or it's going to be white. There's nothing in between. Of course, the higher we go up in levels, the more detail we're going to get. So we want to create kind of this effect using our levels, and I'm going to focus on getting no more than like probably 8. The fewer the better if you can get it without completely washing yourself out. So I'm going to go with level 5 for mine. Again, depending on what clothing you're wearing, what your skin tone is, that sort of thing, you may need a different level adjustment. So I'm going to say OK. Then I'm going to change the blending mode of this layer to hard light. So you see that takes the gray pixels and makes them a little more transparent or see-through. I'm going to adjust my opacity down to be like 80–90%, depending again on what kind of picture you're working with. Your opacity may be something different, but don't go any lower than 80%. Right-click on the U layer and go to Blending Options. We are looking at this Blend If area of the menu, and we're looking at the underlying layer. So I move this over a little bit, and I take this slider and I drag it up. Do you see how the underlying layer, that brick layer, starts to show through my image? The higher up we go, the more it shows through, and so it just kind of gives us that kind of tattered look a little bit. And again, where you drag and slide it, don't go specifically off my numbers. You want to play with that and kind of see what you can get for this. My light colored shirt it's not awesome for this image, and that's where maybe I should have chosen a higher level when I did posterize the image, but for the beings of this project, it's going to work. The other thing is you can actually split this so you can create kind of a feathered look. So if I press and hold Alt on my keyboard and click on this slider, I can drag to make it feel a little bit more feathered in some areas of my image. Okay? So I'm pretty happy with that. You guys are going to want to play with that a little bit more when you're doing this, and I'll say okay. Next, what I would love for you to do is go out to brusheasy.com. And remember, this is where you can go grab free brushes and search for some graffiti brushes to use in your image. And so, this is a refresher. I'm not going to actually download anything for the purposes of this video. But you could go out and find some different brushes. And because we have things locked down so bad at our school, you may want to even download some graffiti letter brushes and essentially use those like stamps. Since you can't download fonts, but you can download brushes. Okay? So you might find some spray paint type brushes to go in and paint different things. So yeah, you'll want to go download a brush. For now, I'm just going to go get my brushes and find get my soft brown brush. Not that big. Scale it down. Some black in there. And then so I might type something, do something like SP loves CP. You know, I've got to give Clay a shout out. And so right now I'm doing this on the U layer, and I typically would avoid doing that. However, it's going to apply some of the effects that I've already applied to this, to that layer too, to kind of help show things through. So you might try that, or you could always create a new layer. I also may not go so, my opacity is what I want to adjust, okay, so that it's a little bit darker. And then I would do the same thing, go to my blending options, mess with that underlying layer to make sure, do you see how that difference, that allows the cracks of the brick wall to show through, okay? So your assignment, what you are going to do is you are going to go take a picture of somewhere in the school, take a picture of yourself, a new picture, not the picture you've been using all semester, and you are going to Photoshop some graffiti onto an area or surface in the school, okay, following this technique. And so here are some examples from past classes that I thought they did this very, very well, okay? So Carson, we got Santiago, Sebastian, okay, and then this was Xaviera, okay? Make it look as realistic as possible, getting things to show through and make it more believable. Carson's actually did, he got a few people in the school, they were checking that spot in the wall to make sure that it wasn't actually there. I can't wait to see what you create, and I hope you have some fun with this project. Thanks.